Hi everyone. Today I'm going to make another video referencing that YouTube comments conversation that I've been talking about in several videos. And this video is interesting because what happened in this conversation was that this person I was talking to asked me, "Do you want to live the commandments?" and told me I should ponder that question. So I responded with most of the basic commandments and some of the not so basic commandments and my thoughts on them. Uh, Praying, reading the scriptures, going to church, paying tithing, word of wisdom, law of chastity, and going to bed early and getting up early, things like that. And I just gave my thoughts on all of them. And for prayer, I said that I wasn't willing to do it. And then when I had finished this list and the person got back to me, they said, "Well, based on what you said, I think you should pray and read the scriptures." And I thought, I said I wasn't willing to pray. But I think you have to tell the other person when you're in this mindset to pray, because that's the way you supposedly develop a relationship with God in the first place. And so I'm not surprised that this person would push for something that I said I wasn't willing to do, because it's something that is, in their mind, necessary for me to come back to a relationship with God. But I want to talk about why I haven't prayed and why I don't see myself praying in the near future, because I think that this is an important topic to address. And this isn't the only person that has encouraged me to pray. I talked with an extended family member about my faith transition prior to actually leaving the church. And this person told me, "Well, if there is a God, then that God would like to hear from you. So basically, I should pray." But I didn't start praying at the time. And I'm going to explain why. I'm going to explain why it's really hard for me to think about praying now and come to the conclusion that I should pray right now as well. So let's get into this. First of all, when it came to the conversation I had with my extended family member, this extended family member said that God would like to hear from me. But there are a couple of reasons I didn't pray as a result of that conversation. First reason is that if God is the same way that this person believes that God is, God already knows all of my thoughts anyway. So it's not the same as God being a parent who may not know what's going on in their children's lives unless they actually talk to them. God already knows all of that. So that's the first thing. But then the second thing is that I don't really know anything about God. So let's assume for a minute that God doesn't know everything that's going on in my life, that God only knows what I choose to reveal through prayer. Well, then the question is, what else about God do I need to know in order to make that prayer count? Because if I pray to the wrong God, will God not hear me? And if I pray to just generically anybody in the universe in order to try to get somebody's attention and enter into a communication with somebody who wants to enter into communication with me and who has good intentions, what if someone with bad intentions can also pick up on that wavelength if I'm praying that way? That's just something else to think about. And I don't want to pray to somebody that I feel like I know nothing about at this point. I don't want to do that. And so that's just the first thing. Then that's what kept me from praying for, or generally what kept me from praying for a long time leading up to this point. But now I'm being asked again, pray to develop a relationship with God. At least I assume that's the reason this person wants me to do this. And here's the issue that I have that's an even bigger issue, which is that if I started praying to develop a relationship with God, and then I started feeling like I was getting responses back, I wouldn't know if that came from my mind or from God. So how would I trust that? It would have to be very specific things, like I talked about in one of my other videos, that would actually let me know that I was receiving communication from somebody else. And one of the things I've talked about doing, one of the things I may do in a future video, if I can figure out how to get my tech working, is flipping a coin 10 times and praying before each flip of the coin about whether it's going to land heads or not. Because if I could do that and if I could get answers every time, well, then I'd know that I could be as sure as I wanted to be that I was communicating with someone if God would give me answers, reliable answers about something like that. But of course, I can already tell what a lot of people who do talk to God are thinking at this point, which is, well, God wouldn't give you answers about something so trivial. Why are you thinking of doing this? God doesn't respond to tests that way. And so, but then I'd have to think, okay, well, what else could I pray about? Could I pray about how the war in Ukraine is going to end and when it's going to end, and pick a date? If is it going to end before or after this date? What's going to happen? I could try to do something like that, but I'd have to come up with a whole lot of different things that were important to pray about in order to do that. And they'd have to all be right. And I just don't think they all would be. And so I have a really hard time believing that I can develop a relationship with God that I know is real. And frankly, I'm more afraid of having a relationship with an imaginary being than I am of not having a real relationship with a real being who genuinely loves me no matter what I do. Because if God is all loving, then God knows why I'm not praying right now. And knows that I would pray if I thought that I could have a real relationship with God. God knows that I would love God back if I was convinced that there was an all-loving God out there. And because of that, I don't think that an all-loving God would judge me for not praying at this point, given what I've experienced in the past. Because God will understand everything that happened in my life that led me up to the decisions I'm making right now. Even if Christians don't, even if Mormons don't. And in a way, at this point, I'm quoting from a video that I happened to see through the Ex-Mormon Reddit thing, where an atheist was talking about what would happen if they had to stand before God and realize God was real after living their life as an atheist. And they said that they would get a lot of comfort in knowing that God knows everything from every possible perspective, according to Christians, because that means that God would understand them, even if Christians don't. And I feel the same way. I feel like God would understand me, even if Christians or Mormons don't. And that's a big reason why I'm not as afraid of doing the wrong thing according to Christians or Mormons as they might think I should be in this case. Because I do think that if there is a all-loving God, then that all-loving God will reward people based on their intentions to be good people, to help others, to contribute to the good of the world, more than on how they sought out to communicate with that God personally, depending on what their experience has been in their lives. So that's all I wanted to say in this video. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, please like it and consider subscribing. And let me know in the comments what you think about prayer. Has it been helpful for you or not? And do you think that there is any way that you could suggest that I could start praying that might be worth trying for me in order to get a verifiable relationship with God? Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Bye.